Welcome to Behind the Investigation. I am Sierra Cummings, and I am joined here today with my colleague, Rachel Polanski. You've got a really important story. I think it's worth noting here that for some of our businesses across Georgia, it's been such a hard climate to stay afloat, especially after the pandemic. But these businesses that you featured in this story, they've got an additional burden. Talk to us about the story.
Absolutely. So we are talking about three small businesses, very different businesses from each other. We have a chimney and fireplace business, a pizza shop, and a telecommunications company. And all three were struggling to stay afloat during the pandemic. And now they're claiming that their insurance agent left them high and dry. And we're not talking about a little bit of money here. We're talking about a lot of money. So let's watch the story and then we can break it all down. A chimney and fireplace business, a telecommunications company, and a pizza shop. At first glance, these businesses don't have a lot in common, but all of them have recently found themselves fighting the same battle.
I met Chuck Poteet, again, it's been about 6-7 years ago.
Chuck stepped into our doors and he offered that service.
He gained our trust and we decided to go with him for insurance.
All three men are small business owners in Metro Atlanta who found it was difficult to buy affordable health insurance for their workers. That's why they decided to partner with Gainesville business Poteet & Poteet, a company which works with multiple employer clients to access higher quality insurance and benefits than a small business would be able to get on their own. And they say things ran smoothly for a while.
We had an issue with our workers' comp that was underfunded, so I got a collection letter for a little over $100,000 for our workers' comp that hadn't been paid. I contacted them and he said it was a clerical error on their side.
Kevin Sparks said Poteet & Poteet's owner, Chuck Poteet, ended up writing the Mad Hatter a personal check for $100,000.
That was kind of the first red flag.
Jeremy Green reports a similar experience after a burglary took place at Sliced.
There was some damage and stolen property, and when we reached out to Chuck or his company to let him know what's up and file the claim, he ended up just writing us a personal check for the damages.
Green says he thought it was odd, but he trusted Poteet. That trust would be shattered a few years later. After the pandemic, when all three businesses wanted to apply for the Employee Retention Credit, or ERC.
It's something the IRS or the government program they set up during COVID. If you kept your employees, which we did, we laid no one off.
And if small businesses kept their workers employed during the pandemic, they could be refunded a lot of money. The Mad Hatter was due $1.2 million, Sliced nearly $350,000, and M Towers about $275,000. The problem, Poteet had to file on their behalf.
It started to become apparent that either it came and it went somewhere else or it wasn't filed.
We don't know even now if it's filed or not.
Nearly 2 years later, none of the men have seen that money. And it's money that M Towers was counting on. Without it,
This was my office, actually.
Max Olyanchenko says he had to lay off his workers and shut down his office space.
Because you never expect that it's coming. It's like a knife in the back.
Text message exchanges show the men pleading with Poteet for updates. And while they say it's been difficult to reach him, his social media has been very active. According to his public Instagram page, he launched a production company and has been traveling to Florida and California, creating videos and other content. They claim that you owe them a lot of money. When we called Poteet, he agreed to a Zoom interview. He didn't show up. We are still waiting. But in our initial phone call, he said he filed the paperwork on behalf of his clients. And like them, he was still waiting on the funds.
So it's definitely a big loss.
His former clients aren't buying it.
I mean, he needs to be held accountable for this.
Do you think you'll see any of the money you're owed?
No.
And an IRS spokesperson told us they are not allowed to comment on individual cases. Meanwhile, all three business owners have hired attorneys and are now considering legal action. Rachel Polanski, Atlanta News First.
Incredible storytelling there, Rachel. I mean, it's shocking to find out what this man is allegedly doing. I think the implication is, where is this money if it's being misspent? I mean, just good old investigative work. You were able to find him through social media, that he's kind of essentially living a grand life.
Right. The last few posts he's made have been in Miami, Las Vegas, California, and you can see that he is very much so focusing on this music production company and creating this video content. Meanwhile, these three small businesses really don't know the status of what's next. They still don't know if those ERC applications were even filed. If they were filed and he did get that money, they have not seen that money. Right now, all three businesses have hired attorneys, and now they're considering legal action.
Right, implication here really being the lawsuit. So what was it like to actually sit down and talk to these business owners? You mentioned it's totally different businesses. They all have different struggles in their respective industries, but what was it like emotionally for them to be without all of this money?
Yeah, this has been a really hard time for them. These are not corporate companies we're talking about, mom and pop pizza shop, a small telecommunications company, and then, of course, this chimney business. If we want to talk about the telecommunications company, I think that story really struck a chord with me because the owner who you heard from, Max, he had something like 20 employees, and he was really, really counting on this money. And because he didn't get it, he had to lay off all of his employees. He also had to shut down his office space. Now he's working from home. All of his telecommunications equipment is in his garage, and just seeing that, it's really tough. And when they're saying that, this money could have stopped that from happening, it's just really hard. And as a reporter, you know this too, when we sit down with people and we hear these stories, we just want to help. And in a case like this, there's really not much we can do except expose the story and shine a light on it.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head there. Like, these are not corporate businesses. These are our local mom and pop shops that keep our own economy here in Georgia going. So you just really empathize with them.
Absolutely. And to take it a step further too, these are folks in all different cities. So the chimney business, they're based in Alpharetta. The pizza shop, they're based in Hoxton. They also have a location in Gainesville. And then the telecommunications company, he's out in Norcross. So we're really talking about several different businesses all across the metro. Like you said right at the beginning, these businesses all struggled to stay afloat during the pandemic, but they were able to do it. They were able to get it done. And now another obstacle. So it's really tough. It's just been a really, really tough couple of years for these guys.
Great job on this. We look forward to all the updates that come with this story. You can listen and enjoy our podcast really and kind of figure out what's happening behind the scenes. Get it anywhere you get your podcast. Thanks for joining us.